So I have already colored my piece and added some details to the dragon and to the mouth. And now I would like to add shadows and light to bring the illustration to life. Here are all of my layers, the first one being my color thumbnails, so I can just drag and drop the colors that I need. The second one being my sketch on the multiply mode, so I can have it on for all of the time and just see where and what I should color. I just lowered the opacity for it, but as I'm going to add shadows and light, I just turn the layer off, but I will keep it there for if I would need it in the future. Then I have my foreground. I grouped it all together. Here's my foreground. Then I have my dragon and mouse group. Still on all of the separate layers, all of my colorings. I will merge them later on. And then I have the tree stem and other details like my background. And here is the group of the background, still on the different layers in case I would like to add some light to the leaves or to the elements, some reflected light. I'm not sure yet, and I will see it as we go on. I will start by adding shadows to my characters, so I will turn my sketch layer on just because I like to have it on when I'm adding the shadows, because I have more details in my sketch and I know where like all of the main plays are. I will start by opening my character folder and add a layer on top of everything. Set it to a multiply mode, lower a bit of opacity, and then I will go to the colors and choose a bit of the grayish bluish light color. I will usually start with the pretty light color and will darken it later on. I use different techniques to adding shadows to my characters. Sometimes I use brushes, sometimes I use a lasso tool, but today I will go on and use my favorite brush, being Sam's Roller. You can find it in the description below. Let's take a look at my color thumbnails. I know I want the dragon be glowing, so most of the light will be coming from him, but he will still have some basic shadows. And I will also have some lines and some dust glowing around it, but I will add it later on. And I know my dragon don't need to have like way too much shadows. The mouse is under the dragon, so it will be getting a lot of light and it will be pretty dark underneath it. I will also set the multiply layer for the shadows to as a clipping mask on top of the other layers, so if I would draw a shadow, it will stay in the object. Just to show you, if I turn off the clipping masks, you can see the shadow in here, and we don't want to have it, we just want the shadow be on the character. So I will turn it back again. I will just go on and add shadows to the most obvious places, like the feet behind him, and then a little bit of drop shadow from the wings, and also on his tail. And on his mouth here, and a little bit on his eye. So I will go back and forth adding more and more shadows where I think they should be, and I will just speed up the process for you. now, as I did my first shadows, I'm feeling a bit confident, so I will go on and add another layer on top of it, set it to clipping mask and to multiply mode and lower the opacity. Now I will go with the shadow color a little bit darker. Go on and increase some places, some spaces, just ever so slightly, especially when the objects are almost touching each other, to give it more, a little bit of depth. So I think it's enough for now. I will turn off my sketch layer and it looks much better already. I will now go on and add some shadow to the tree stamp because there is no connection between the mouse and the ground underneath it, and I really want to add it. For that I will go to my tree stamp, it is right here, add an extra layer, set it to clipping mask and to multiply mode, and we'll go on with the same brush underneath the mouse and add shadow. First a little bit lighter and some underneath the tail, and then I will go a little bit darker, and I think a little bit more darker, just where the mouse is touching the most. If I'm being honest, I don't think that's enough, so I will go and darken those layers here and a bit here. I think it's much better already. Also, I would like to add a bit clearer shadow to the edge of the tree stamp, since we do have the light coming from the above. I like it much better now, and I will add an extra layer with the same settings, and just will go on and add a little bit darker shadows here and there where I think it should be, to the edge of the tree stamp and in some corners. I'm doing it pretty fast, and this is not that clean illustrating style at the moment, but sometimes I don't feel like being really clean, and this works best for me. It looks much better. I will now go on and combine those layers. Go to and choose an eraser brush. I would think with a hot blink, something thin, to just erase a few grass elements like this. I also feel like this plants down there also need a little bit of shadow to give it a 3D look, so I will do the same step as I did before, new layer to multiply mode and a clipping mask. And I will now go on with a darker bluish grayish color in here. And now it looks much better. And now I will be adding a glowing effect to the dragon. So I will go to my I will add a new layer underneath the dragon character and then select the dragon silhouette by clicking on the layer with the character and searching for the select option. I will go back to the created layer underneath and fill it, and we'll choose a slightly bluish color. It should be the color of your choice. In my case it is, and I will fill it. At the moment we don't see anything happen because it is underneath the characters, and I will first of all erase the mouse. If I turn off the character, you can see the bluish form underneath. Now I will set duplicate layer 2 times and turn off 2 of them. The one that is still on, I will set to an overlay mode, and then I will go to the adjustment Gaussian blur and I will drag it. You can now see something happening, the color overlaying on top of our background, and I will say I would leave it at 16-17%. I will now go to the second layer, turn it on and choose in edition mode. We still not see what's happening because we have the character on top. Now I will go back to the adjustment, choosing Gaussian blur once again and dragging, and ta-da! The character is already glowing much better. I think I would like to keep it pretty bright at a 45%. Now, it already looks good, but I feel like the dragon should be glowing also on top. So the third layer that we copied, we will drag and put it on top of everything. And we will set the layer to addition, and it's way too bright. So we will go and lower the opacity way low down, up into 3%, I would say. Now I feel kind of like the shadows are way too dark, way too strong, since he is glowing. So we will go and lower the opacity of the shadows, just leaving it slightly visible. I really don't like how the addition mode affects the eye of the dragon, so I will go with any brush that you like and erase this addition mode from his eye. Now I will go in and add more details to the light by setting a new layer, also as a clipping mask, and now as a color dodge mode. Lower the opacity of the layer a little bit, and we'll go and add a light here and there with a brush. The light from the dragon will be affecting the mouse character a lot, so we will need a lot of light coming from the top. For that I will be adding an extra layer clipping mask and then to a color dodge mode, and we'll be going in and adding a clearer edges of the light. For example, here are not enough shadows. Since the light is so strong and it's so dark, the mouse need more clearer shadows. So I will be going in, adding an extra layer, setting it to multiply, go to a bluish grayish color, and just even darker, and then adding clear cast shadows from the light to some places. And I feel like the eye is getting lost in this character, so I will be adding a bit of edge around the eye and the nose. Slowly we are getting there. So now I would merge the shadow layers together, and I will add a new layer on top. Select my shadows, and then on the layer on top I will add some dark bluish color and fill the selected layer, selected shadows. You can see that here. I think I would change the bluish color in here, just a little bit like this, and then I will set it to an overlay mode and will lower the opacity a little bit. And you can see, I'm not sure here, you can see the difference between the shadows. They are more bluish instead of being grayish, and I think I will lower the opacity a little bit more. So why I'm doing it? Since the shadows are not really grayish and black, they are actually bluish in real life because of the surroundings. Like the scene is in the forest and there is sky and everything is bluish, and that's why the forest feels like it's blue in the dark, and we are changing the colors to shadows to the bluish color. And now I am going to add a reflected light to the surroundings around the dragon. This would be the mouse and the grass underneath it and the tree stump. For this I will be adding a new layer on top of the tree stump, using a clipping mask, setting it to the overlay mode, and I will be choosing the light source color. It would be this bluish color. And now I will be just going in and adding the reflected light to the elements. I'm working really fast right now for you to see what I am talking about, and usually I would do it much cleaner. And the reflected light right now is a bit way too strong, so we will lower the opacity a little bit. A bit like this, I think. So now you can see the difference, how the light is affecting the object underneath it. And of course, the light from the dragon will be affecting not just the tree stump, but also the greenery around it and the ground. So I will be adding it too, but this time with a softer brush. And now I will go in with the same brush as before, Sam's roller, and add a little bit more details here and there. I will say trust the process. And now I will go in with the Sam's roller and will delete some places just to add a little bit more texture, more depth. Also we have grass, so I will go in with a inklet brush and just delete a few places to show that there's actually grass, and the same I will do with the light. And now the light is also reflecting from the ground onto the objects around it, so it will be reflecting on the tree stump. I will go and add a new layer with a clipping mask and overlay mode on top of the tree stump. with the same Sims roller brush and just add reflected light. Just a little bit here and there. And I will lower the opacity of it just slightly. Now, there is also not enough light on this plants behind it, so I will go in my background, find it, and add the light to it. So now I would like to add a little bit of halo and light edges for the characters. For it I will be going to the character folder, adding a new layer, but this time without a clipping mess, adding it to the overlay mode and going with the inkblade brush and adding just the edge around the characters. Just like this. I don't like how thin it is, so I will change the overlay mode to the addition mode and actually lower it a little bit, make the brush a little bit smaller, and then I will go in. And since the dragon is the one that is glowing, so I will go around the edges and add the light. And that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope this video was helpful, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Bye!